This is Justin Brake reporting for the Independent and Ricochet Media from outside the BC Supreme Court in Vancouver. Inside, a trial is unfolding that could determine the future of press freedom in Canada. A journalist, Amber Bracken, and her news outlet, the Narwhal, are suing the RCMP for unlawfully arresting Bracken and detaining her for 4 days while she was on the job in 2021. This happened while Bracken was reporting on Wet'suwet'en resistance to the Coastal GasLink pipeline in northern BC. Over the past 10 years, the RCMP has repeatedly used broad exclusion zones to block members of the press from documenting police activity, particularly with respect to Indigenous protests and land defense actions in remote areas. If my name sounds familiar, that's because 10 years ago in 2016, I was charged both civilly and criminally with allegedly violating an injunction while covering the Indigenous-led occupation of the Muskrat Falls hydroelectric project in Labrador. I ultimately won that case, and the Newfoundland and Labrador Court of Appeal ruled that journalists do in fact have special standing when reporting from injunction zones. That legal precedent is called the Brake decision. Since then, journalists have won every time they've challenged the RCMP restrictions in court or before an oversight body. In 2021, a coalition of media outlets took the RCMP to court in BC and won an order instructing the RCMP and police to stop restricting media access at Fairy Creek. In late 2024, the Civilian Review and Complaints Commission, that's the oversight body for the RCMP, issued a report saying that the RCMP had no right to use these broad exclusion zones to prevent journalists from documenting police actions. The RCMP accepted those recommendations and promised to stop doing that. They also issued a public apology to Ricochet journalist Jerome Turner and editor Ethan Cox. Just this week, the BC Human Rights Commission released a report on the Vancouver Police Department's use of an exclusion zone in 2023 to thwart media access to the police's raid and clearance of a homeless encampment in the downtown east side. That report, like all previous rulings and reports, found that the police have no right to interfere with the media and block their ability to observe and report and document on police actions. Contrary to clear legal precedents and multiple oversight reports, and despite the fact that the RCMP's own commissioner has publicly apologized for using these tactics and promised to stop, the Government of Canada is fighting in court here to justify the arrest of Amber Bracken for her crime of doing journalism. We're in the midst of a 5-week trial, the closing arguments in which won't be heard until April. When a decision is handed down, it's likely to be appealed, and it could go all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada. But make no mistake, the final fight for press freedom begins here. What's at stake is far greater than how journalists are allowed to do their work. This is also, more importantly, about the public's right to know. I'm here in Vancouver to cover this landmark trial, and you can follow my daily reports on TikTok and Blue Sky and other platforms. And you can go to theindependent.ca and ricochet.media, sign up for both outlets' newsletters, and you'll be able to follow our written reporting there as well. For the Independent and Ricochet Media, this is Justin Brake from the BC Supreme Court in Vancouver. Stay tuned.